Hello and welcome to my usual Tuesday live. And today we're going to be talking about motivation and why it might not be a mindset issue. So many people are, Greg, I've got a mindset issue. I can't stay motivated. And they're wondering why they can't stay motivated. And one of the big reasons is not what you think. Okay, it's often not what you think. So I'm going to dive into some of the reasons why that could happen so that you don't you don't get stuck with what a lot of people get stuck with. Okay, so before I dive into that, um I just want to first of all remind a few of you. So hey Louise, I have my 30-day kickstart program. It's virtually ready. I've had 5 ladies put their hands up for it. So for the first 10, as it's a newbie program, I'm just going to do it £60. You get the whole month of 4 weeks of my awesome nutrition guidance, all in a program. So it's already in box, ready for you to just dive in. You do the work through the module. You'll get weekly check-ins and all that good stuff as well. Um, all self-contained in a box. So yeah, it's awesome. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I will get you hooked up. Right, ladies, got a question. Who here has suffered with a lack of motivation? Comment me below. Let me know because I think this will be useful. And you know me, I like to have interaction on my lives and have some fun. So if you've ever struggled with motivation, then comment me below. Hey Tasha. So if you've Stacy's here, there's a few here, Lisa's here. Okay, if you've ever struggled with motivation, just comment me. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna say me because I have, because I'm human. Louisa said yes, she has. Ingrida has in the past. Joe, definitely me. Okay, cool. So, ladies, on a previous live, I've talked about one of the key things about motivation, which is that most people don't have a dream. Okay? You don't have a real excited idea of where you want to be. Okay? And this is why people get stuck because actually, in order for you to get somewhere, you need to have a big goal that excites you and makes you go, yep, I can get out of bed and get to the gym for that. Okay. That is one reason why people struggle with motivation. Okay. Now, let me talk through the problem. What often happens is we get so stuck in this cycle of looking for motivation, right? We spend hours reading motivational quotes. We look at people's befores and afters for motivation. We think about all the things that we used to be able to do when we were slimmer or whatever. And sometimes that can keep us stuck because this is the big thing. Sometimes the reason you're not motivated isn't a mindset issue. Everyone's like, what? It's not a mindset issue? What do you mean it's not a mindset issue? This is crazy. Like, this is something new. So, ladies, who's always been told that motivation is always a mindset issue? Who's been told that? Drop a drop a comment, let me know. Just let me know your thoughts. Who's been told that motivation is always a mindset problem? I'm going to blow some minds here. So if you've been told, oh, you're just not motivated enough, or you need to just get more disciplined, um, I've certainly been told that in the past by people, and it's kept me stuck where I am. Um, so who's been told that before? Just drop a heart, let me know, and I'm going to reveal another reason why many of you struggle to actually get in shape. So let's see the comments. Hey, ladies, I'm reading the comments too. So if you've been told it's a motivation issue and you just need to sort it out, and that just keeps people stuck, right? Just hearing, oh, you got me more motivated. Because I firmly believe that everyone has motivation. Like, everyone here is motivated. The fact that you're on this live listening right now means you are already motivated. You're here because you want to change. You want to get information that helps you improve your life, improves your health, improves how you show up with your partner, improve how you show up in your work, right? All of you. And it's really interesting. Yesterday I did a session with another group. So I was brought in as like a guest expert coach on mindset. And it was really interesting because some of the things I'm going to talk about in a second, these ladies didn't know. Okay. Because the world is always mindset, mindset, mindset. And for me, in helping my ladies become the empowered, energetic ladies that they want to be, you can't just always focus on mindset. Okay. So here it is, ladies. One of the reasons why you might think it's mindset and it's not mindset is actually because you struggle to manage your blood sugar. I'll say that again. You struggle to manage your blood sugar. Now, if anyone's here diabetic, they might have an understanding of this. But this is where the biological factors come into play with how you feel. Okay, you can't. What always happens is this: we try and separate the mind from the body when the two talk all the time. Your body and your brain are constantly talking. There's a constant relay up and down. So, Greg, what do you mean by it's my blood sugar? Well, or it's not necessarily just your blood sugar, but it's how you manage it. Okay. So, quick biology lesson: you eat food, it goes into your mouth, you chew it, break it down, goes into the stomach, gets put out into the small intestine, gets into the blood. Then your body will convert this into glucose, right? So what's happening is this, and everyone was like, they thought, oh, everyone thought they were going to get a mindset talk here, didn't they? Everyone thought, yeah, it's all going to be about mindset. Well, here's the thing, ladies. If you can't regulate your blood sugar, so you have all these big spikes in blood sugar, so when you eat, your blood sugar goes up, okay, and then you have big crashes, okay, that can affect the brain and how you feel in your body. Crazy, right? Because most people don't have any understanding about blood sugar. Most people understand things like calories, calories in, calories out, blah, blah, blah. But actually, the food you eat has such a massive part to play in regulating your blood sugar, which is important, right? If your blood sugar goes too high, okay, you're going to be hyperglycemic. You might end up in a coma, etc. If you have crashes, then you become hypoglycemic. Louise says, this makes so much sense. Remind your nutrition is off during acute onset of spinal condition. Could well be, Louise. Like I see so many people, so many ladies with chronic conditions anyway, who have flare-ups when their nutrition is off. So they're feeling all right, and then all of a sudden they start to not eat so well. Guess what? Their condition flares up. They don't feel good. Everything feels awful. Okay. So most people in the country right now are suffering from what we call metabolic conditions. Okay, and I'm not saying just diabetes, but pre-diabetes is on the rise. There's so many more people who are having these big crashes up and down, and they can't concentrate. They get to work, can't concentrate, foggy brain, etc., etc. But your blood sugar has a massive impact on every part of your body. It impacts how your hormones work. It impacts how your immune system works. It impacts how your gut biome works, right? Because poor blood sugar management means that certain bacteria doesn't grow in your stomach, right? So if these bacteria don't grow, you can't digest food properly. So therefore, you can't absorb the right nutrients. Therefore, the body and the brain all know that something's going on and something's not right, and you feel crap. Like who here has sat round the table at um at dinner, or Sunday dinner or Christmas dinner, and they've watched everyone eat dinner and then fall asleep afterwards? Who's seen that before? Probably all seen that at some point. Yeah. So what's happening is that people are eating a whole load of food, probably too much food. The body's like, oh my God, there's a whole lot of food that we need to get either into cells, into the liver, into muscles if we can. And then we're struggling to manage it all. Do you know what? Go to sleep. What happens is insulin comes in, bashes your blood sugar down. What happens then? You potentially become hypoglycemic, and then you're like, oh, I want to fall asleep. Okay, while your body deals with what's going on in the background. Okay, so there's studies, ladies, on this stuff that when people can't control their blood sugar, okay, so your blood sugar needs to be in a nice little range. Okay, this is when you get crashes in energy. Okay, brain fog, mood swings. Yeah, and you're thinking, well, I just can't get motivated. Can't get motivated. Well, your brain is the ultimate control of the amount of energy you've got, right? So if we can't control what the brain's doing, then what hope have we got of being motivated to go and exercise or to eat the right foods? So sometimes, ladies, you have to really think about the foods you're consuming. So this is a really big thing. What you eat manifests itself in terms of your energy, your health, right? So sometimes we've got the cart before the horse. Sometimes we're sitting there going, oh, you know what? Really not motivated. But actually, the reason you're not motivated isn't because of a brain thing. And obviously, if you want me to tag you in the kind of mindset stuff, just let me know below and I'll tag you in it if you haven't seen it. It's in this group. What's happening is the way that you eat, the way that you live is actually contributing to your energy and mood going down. So therefore, your motivation disappears. Gone. There's plenty of studies with rats, etc., where they feed them a certain way, certain foods, and their motivation goes down. They can't be able to move. They don't want to exercise. They just get miserable, violent. They stop having babies, etc. Okay, so I really want you to understand that you can't separate the brain and the body. This is the problem with the world today. We try to separate it. Oh, it's all mindset, it's my body. No, the two have to work together. You can't have one without the other. So, Greg, how do I manage blood sugar? Well, very simple. Kinda. First of all, if you're trying to manage blood sugar, then your sleep needs to be on point. I can't stress this enough. Your sleep has to be on point. Like, sleep always gets left to the side because we're so busy trying to do so many other things. Okay. But your sleep has to be on point. Like for me, I use what's called a Whoop. I need to tuck that in. Basically, I use that to help me look at my sleep performance, how I actually sleep in terms of my cycles of sleep, i.e., deep sleep, REM sleep, um, restorative sleep, etc. And it allows me to see how ready I am to train, exercise, look after my clients the next day. Okay, so sleep is probably one of the most underrated things for managing blood sugar. Okay, if you don't sleep properly, then you're going to struggle. Okay, I can't I can't tell you this enough. If you don't sleep properly, you are always going to be struggling to catch up from a blood sugar perspective. Okay, and it's so funny when we get clients to sleep properly, then all of a sudden they find it easier to lose fat. It's crazy, you know. Um, it's just so entwined. Number two, you need a regular time of eating. Okay. What's happened in the world nowadays is that we're always like, oh, I've got a snack, oh, healthy snacks and all the rest of it. Okay. What's actually happening for most of us is what we're doing is, life goes along, spike blood sugar. Okay. Then Shelley from HR comes into the office with cakes. Oh, another little snack. Then we come in again with another snack. Okay. So then all we're doing is just spiking blood sugar all the time. Okay. Now, blood sugar is supposed to go up. I don't want to, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, don't have any blood sugar spikes. But if you have too many because you're always snacking, always grazing, always nibbling, then you're going to have problems. This is why you get this up and down in mood and energy all the time. Okay. So That's massive. Like I can't emphasize enough how important that is. Okay. So managing blood sugar in terms of how you eat and having a regular schedule is going to be massive because the body gets used to cycles. The body wants cycles in your sleep. The body wants cycles in um, your movement. It wants cycles in everything. Everything is run on cycles. Okay. So number three is them trying to eat with the circadian rhythm. Okay, we eat far too long. Okay, you probably want to get up, eat some food, get some sunlight, eat some food. Then before bedtime, you don't want to eat for maybe a couple of hours. Okay, perfect. Again, that's going to help sensitize you to getting your body in a habit, and so your body now goes right. Okay, I'm feeling nice and regular. I know what's going on. I'm not going to get these random blood sugar spikes. Nice and simple. So, ladies, am I making sense here? Hope so. Let's just have a check on comments because I think that's important. So Ingrida said, "Oh yes." So, ladies, just let me know if you've got any questions on this as I'm talking. Let me just check the comments because I think that's. I don't want to miss anyone's comments or any questions. Yeah. So Louise says that she dips around 2 p.m. Stacey says me. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, ladies, who here has a regular eating schedule? Like, comment below with your eating schedule. What is yours? So for me, I tend to eat depending on what I've got with clients, etc. I want to eat around 10ish, maybe again about 2:30, and then maybe again about 6:37. That works really nicely for me. But hey, I'm not everyone. Is it frozen? Let me have a look. I can still see mine, Louise, so I don't know what's happened. Let's just see. Hmm. Don't know what's happened there. Okay. So Joe says sometimes she has an eating schedule. So Joe, what does that mean about sometimes I have a eating schedule? Like, what does that mean? Ingrida says, yeah, it's breaking up. That's really weird. I don't know what's going on or why it's breaking up. Mine seems to be fine. Don't know. So here's the thing, ladies, right? What I want you to really think about is, yes, we all have events and stuff in our life. I get that. But the more that you keep trying to change the rhythm of your life, the more disruption you have. So you have to make a choice. Am I going to have some structure and rhythm in my life? Or am I going to keep playing fast and loose and having this up and down business? So, Joe, if I was you, I'd get a hold of myself and say, do you know what? I want to be happy and healthy. That means I can't have too much disruption. Ladies, I'm not saying it's never going to be disruptive, right? It's never going to be, super perfect all the time. Totally get that, right? But what I will say is if you're not got a level of consistency in your eating and your sleeping, you are going to struggle with blood sugar problems, okay? So, ladies, got a question for you. Who wants me to name one of the biggest issues around blood sugar management? Who would like me to tell you the one big thing that could change it? Yeah, you're welcome, Joe. So we've gone through sleep, we've gone through eating a regular pattern. Who wants to hear the next one? Which I think everybody needs to know. Who wants to hear the next one? Who wants to hear the big bad wolf when it comes to managing blood sugar? Um, and before you say it, it's not necessarily carbs. Because I know you're all thinking, oh, it must be carbs. Must be I can't eat bread or something. So Stacey says, yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, cool. Ladies, alcohol. Alcohol has such a massive impact on how we regulate and manage blood sugar. Now, here's the thing, ladies. I'm not saying you have to give up alcohol. For some of you, that might be a thing to consider. However, let me just give you a little bit of the biochemistry about what happens. Alcohol is what we actually call ethanol. Ingrida's making monkey faces. Um, so alcohol is what we call ethanol. So it's a sugar, really, when you really break it down. Hey, Joe, I'm going to come on to sugary things in a minute. So alcohol is ethanol, right? So if there is alcohol in your blood, okay, so you have a drink, especially on an empty stomach, yeah, your body will prioritize using alcohol instead of going into your glycogen stores and your fat stores for energy because it's quick, available, ready to go. It's like rocket fuel for the body. Body's like, oh, alcohol. Yeah, let's hoover this up. All right. And then what happens, obviously, the next day, you get the hangover, blood sugar still all over the place because you've hardly used any glucose. You had a big meal out of your friends. Uber Eats is coming. You have a big meal with your friends, and then obviously the next day you're still struggling to manage blood sugar because you've had poor sleep. Because alcohol affects your sleep, ladies. Alcohol, people can't achieve deep sleep when they've had alcohol. This is why you wake up hungry, miserable, tired, and you want a big fry up because now your body's saying, "Look, we need to re-regulate blood sugar. Give me food." You're hungry. Okay, so here's a big thing. So Joe mentioned. Let me just go back to Joe's question. Sugary things. So, ladies, here's the thing. Carbs aren't necessarily bad for managing blood sugar. Um, there's the issue is that lots of people don't have lots of fiber. Ingrida said, "Yeah, I've noticed that." Yeah, the next day you're hungry as hell when you have alcohol. Don't sleep very well. It's not a deep sleep. Then the next morning you're hungry. You want to eat everything. Like you start eating your hand or something. It's crazy. Um, so carbs. Let's just go back onto carbs. So all foods have what we call a glycemic load. What does that mean? Glycemic load just means when you eat it, how much insulin is then needed to manage that particular food and how much glucose that's going to dump into the body. Okay. Glucose in the body is not a bad thing. If everything's working nicely, you'll utilize it, store it, whatever, it's all good. Please don't be scared. This is not a carb phobia thing. Um, we don't do carb phobia here. All of my clients eat carbs. They eat potatoes, they eat rice, etc. Okay. The the thing is that most people will eat carbs just randomly through the day. Oh, hey Makeda, let me just have some bread because I fancy a sandwich. Oh, let me just have a cake. So what you're doing is then you're having carbs with no protein, fats, or fiber. Okay, so protein, fats, and fiber will slow down the glucose getting into your bloodstream. Okay, so okay. Oh, my pleasure, Louise. I'm a geek and I know it. Yeah, so the big thing is most people don't have. So when you have fruit, ladies, because fruit is sugary, right? Apples, berries are all nice sweet things, but they come with fiber. Okay, so therefore you don't get the big glucose spike that you might do from wine gums, opal fruits, etc. And it's interesting that even if you look at some of the things that you think are really bad, they actually come with a lot of fat. So actually, they aren't as bad in terms of glycemic load, but they will have a hell of a lot of calories. So when people talk about it's more than do carbs slow your down your digestive system, I find it really bloating after the carbs. Right. So I'm going to answer this question. Here's the thing about carbs that most people don't realize. A couple of things. If you bloat after food, for some people, that is just a natural thing. Like you've put food in your stomach, it's gonna get bigger and expand. It's like that's gonna happen. Okay. I think what true bloating is you feel uncomfortable. You might get some acid reflux. You might get some wind, etc. That for me, I need to start crowding out, including the full spectrum before you have carbs. So a portion of protein, not a chip butty. Exactly, Makeda. Not a chip butty. Although chip butties are nice. I haven't had one of them in years. Um, but yeah, so I would say have that with some protein, Makeda. So here's a couple of things, ladies. When you eat carbs, yeah, there is an enzyme in your mouth called salivary amylase, which starts to break down the carbohydrates. Okay. When it gets into the gut, like literally the body will absorb that stuff quick, quick, quick. Okay. This is why, ladies, for example, if you have a diabetic who crashes their blood sugar, you get them a Mars bar because the Mars bar is really fast digesting, or Lucozade, for example, because it's pure glucose, goes straight through the body, straight into the bloodstream. The body can start using that quite quickly, right? So, what could be happening is a few things after the carbs. One thing that most people don't do, and this is just a general bloating thing, is people don't chew their food. People do not chew their food. Like seriously, it's like down the hatch straight away. Like there's no thought process. It's just like literally in, and they don't even put their fork down. Like no, there's no talking at the table. There's no like stop. Let me consider what's going on. People don't chew their food. So, ladies, if there's one thing I would suggest you do, is try and chew your food each mouthful 15 to 25 times. That one means when it gets into your gut, it's fully broken down into liquid, which means the body can start cutting it up. Okay, and the acid in your stomach can do that. Number two, it might also be that you don't have great stomach acid. Okay, now I'm not going to go into that's a deep situation, but I might have to Google that in another live. If you want me to talk about that specifically, just comment acid, and that means I'll remember it for another time. So if you want me to talk about like how the stomach breaks down food and all that stuff on another live, just put acid, and I will make sure that I do this because then when I look back, I'll go, oh yeah, acid. I know what they're talking about. So maybe some people have low um, acid levels in their stomach, so they don't produce a lot of hydrochloric acid. So therefore, you can't break down food. So first step, please digest your food. The next thing, actually, just on the stomach thing, is so many of you are taking, oh, what's that drug? God damn it, I can't remember it. But it's the one that stops acid reflux. So you've been taking a medicine, and I had a client with this actually. Had a client called Caroline who really struggled with um, bloating after certain foods, etc. She'd been to a gastroenterologist, she'd been to all sorts of people to try and sort out this problem. So she came to work with me um, on my old Revolution program as it was then. Yeah, Gaviscon. Yes, omeprazole. That's the one. So Gaviscon, omeprazole is a really bad one. Like, ladies, why would they give you a medicine that's gonna stop you digesting your food? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay. So what we did with Caroline was we got her to start an elimination diet. Okay, so we did a very specific elimination diet. We then started to introduce some foods back into her diet. We also then made sure she chewed her food. And then we realized it was more of there were certain foods in her diet that she just wasn't reacting well to. So we just stripped them out. We also got her to reduce her stress. Okay, so we got her to stress less, stop her working all the hours God sends. After about 4 or 5 weeks, all bloating gone. After all of these gastroenterologists had fed her omeprazole, okay, she was able to start going to the loo properly. Yeah, just frustrates me. I'll share her pictures in below so you can see them at some point. Anyway, what was the next bit? So then after that, ladies, like you need to go for a poo, ladies. I did a coaching session with my clients yesterday night, and we had a guest coach come in because when my clients work with me, we have guest experts coming in. It was awesome, but we'd previously spoken about poo and that the fact that most ladies don't go to the toilet regularly. Like really, ladies, most days you want to be going for a poo. So there's just a couple of ways that you could reduce bloating. Okay, so I would isolate. This is the big thing with tracking your food as well. Right? It says, "Oh, I can't track my food. It takes too much time." Ladies, it takes 3 minutes, not even that, to track your food each day. If you're getting bloating, there you go. No, 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 Louise, this is the problem, right? Me and my clients talk about all sorts. We talk about periods, we talk about hemorrhoids, we talk about all sorts because if we're doing health coaching, we've got to coach the health, right? Um, but yeah, we should be going to the loo at least daily for me, and it shouldn't be a struggle. Um, one day I'll tell you about a client who was only going to the toilet once a week and how we got that solved, and she dropped 3 stone. Yeah, 3 stone. Anyway, it wasn't 3 stone of poo, by the way. But anyway, so ladies, I really want you to just think about how you eat, what you eat, when you eat, how you sleep, because all of these things will contribute to how you manage blood sugar. And if you can't manage blood sugar, then your motivation goes down. I can't be bothered to train. Okay? Yeah, Lou, there's a couple of bits. If ladies, if you want me to talk about digestion, I might do like a proper masterclass on digestion. I know Stacey commented acid. Ladies, if you want me to do a masterclass on digestion and how to fix most of the digestion issues that most of you ladies have, just comment food below. Comment food, and I'll put on a proper, with PowerPoint and all that stuff, masterclass on how to sort out your digestive issues in like 4 or 5 steps. I can do that. But here's the thing, ladies, if your blood sugar is all over the gaff, then you might have issues with your stomach and digestion. Okay, so you'll be windy and all sorts because your body, your gut, which is your number one part of your defense, your immune system, okay, can be compromised by poor blood sugar management. It's crazy. So all of this stuff is interlinked, ladies. You can't separate everything. So Louise says food. Ladies, if you want me to do a whole digestion, how to make your digestion silky smooth, comment food, and I will do a proper like masterclass on Zoom with questions and all of that good stuff. So if you want that, comment food and I'll do that. So ladies, has this been useful? Let me know if you have any questions about anything I've talked about before. There is one more thing on that list of things to help manage blood sugar. Oh, Joe says food as well. Okay, awesome. So if you want me to do a proper deep dive into digestion and how it works and how to fix most of your digestive problems, obviously, I can't guarantee everything will work in that right instance, but if you follow the steps, you'll probably get some improvement. Obviously, as I work with clients one to one, then we can do like specific stuff. Um, so yeah, ladies, are there any other questions on how blood sugar? So, ladies, just to recap, if there's questions, drop a heart so I know it's coming, and then drop your question in below. Um, if you struggle with problems with your mood, it might not be the mindset thing. Hey, Makeda, watch the replay. So I did a mindset one on motivation before, but actually it might be the fact that you're consuming foods that are impacting your blood sugar, therefore impacting your ability to focus, be in the right mindset. Okay. Again, this is the problem, ladies. We try to separate everything, but you can't have the body without the mind and the mind without the body. It doesn't work like that. This is why people fail diets again and again and again and again. So Makeda, yeah, for sure. That could well be. So I'm gonna pick on Makeda. Again, Makeda, you probably missed it at the beginning, but the composition of your plate is probably what's not helping you. So and I know Makeda's right. Here's the big thing, ladies. I'm gonna blow some socks off people. If you have blood sugar management issues, please stop intermittent fasting. There, I said it. Please stop intermittent fasting. Okay. Ah, ladies, and you ladies especially, you are susceptible to higher levels of stress. Just the way you are. I'm sorry, I didn't design you. But I see so many ladies who struggle with mood swings, crashes in energy, etc. And everyone's like, yeah, intermittent fasting because it manages my blood sugar and all the rest of it. But also, what's going on is if you're stopping your food intake in the morning, that is a stress on the body. What? Yeah. Your body likes food at a regular interval. You've gone 16, 20 hours without food, isn't always a good thing for some of you. So, this default thing of intermittent fasting isn't always the best because, look, most of the studies on intermittent fasting will be done in mice, and most of you aren't mice. Okay. So, number one. So, if I have a client, and I've had many clients come to me and say, Greg, I intermittent fast. Exactly, Louise, it impacts your mood. And you wonder why you walk into work like a zombie because you have problems getting blood sugar back out into the system and getting it working again. So, ladies, like, I really want to just stress that fasting isn't always the perfect way for everything. You are ladies, you are not rats and mice. So there are many ladies who, do you know what I do? I get them to start eating in a regular eating pattern. We start eating breakfast again. Okay, we have a protein led, a little bit of fats, breakfast. Okay. And then we look at how their energy goes through the day. You generally find once they've had some food, 12 o'clock, they're flying. They're like, yeah, I've got energy. I feel good. Okay. And then they realize that intermittent fasting was just not very good for them. I'm not saying it's perfect for everybody. Again, what I do is individualized. It's different for different people, but most women who struggle with keep trying to stay on with keep their weight down, and this is a really big one, ladies. What happens is because you fasted so long, you're ravenous. So by 12 o'clock, you're starving. So guess what? You have a bigger dinner, right? A bigger dinner than what you think is, okay? So intermittent fasting allows for you to have maybe two bigger meals. But what happens is those meals become bigger. So then later on you have a snack. But because you were so hungry from earlier, you want to compensate. You're like, well, I didn't have breakfast, so therefore I got a whole load of calories. But you already had quite a few calories at lunch. You had a snack that was potentially quite calorific because you probably had coffee, some mayonnaise filled sandwich with no protein in it for lunch, a snack from Shelly at HR that was cakes. So then dinner comes along, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make up for dinner. And then guess what? You're not in a calorie deficit. And then you wonder why you can't lose weight. I don't know. In fact, ladies, I would suggest for most of you, your issue is get some sleep. Because if you're not getting sleep, because this is what you do, right, ladies? I know what you do. And this is a hangover from your teenage days. So as teenagers, I was one of them. We would get up at the last minute to get ready for high school or college. We'd like want to sleep. Then we get up. So therefore we miss breakfast. So when we miss breakfast, after a while that just became a habit. And then all of a sudden now as an adult you're like, oh, do you know what, Greg? I'm not really a breakfast person. And I'm like, well, did you eat breakfast as a kid? Yes. So how do you know you're not a breakfast person? Oh, don't know. So it's just become a habit. Yes. Okay, cool. Eat 3 meals across the day. Try not to snack. If you're going to snack, have something either high protein or have some fruit. Sound good? Yes. Guess what? More energy, feel better. They stay in a calorie deficit, they lose weight. Dosh. So, again, ladies, you have to take an individual approach to all of this. Ooh, sorry, rant over. There was some fire there. Ladies, are there any questions you want me to elaborate on? Any of this I want me to elaborate on? There's probably a little bit more to this. I probably need to do a part two because there's probably a little bit more that I missed, but I booked in half an hour to do this. I'm a little bit over already, and it's time for me to chill for the day. So Makeda, like I can't I can't say it enough. Basics, basics, basics. Like none of my clients do fancy things. We only do fancy things if there's a need to do fancy thing. Oh, Louise, I'm glad that's really helped you tonight. None of my clients do fancy things. We do the basics religiously. We get funky when we need to get funky. Okay. I'm not sure. One of my clients I might be watching now. There's not many in the group. We have our community off Facebook, so we don't get distracted, most of us. But we don't do anything funky. Like I get my ladies to do the basics really, really well. Okay. So ladies, is if this is giving you value, can you just comment value? Because then I know that I've got value for this. So just comment value if you've got some value from this, if you've learned something, if you have got something to change. Actually, let's have some fun. Ladies, what's the one thing you're going to change as a result of listening to this tonight? What's the one thing you're going to change as a result of listening to this live? Michaela got some value. Michaela, you're going to not do any more chip butties. Oh, my pleasure, Ingrida. So, ladies, what's the one takeaway you're going to go away with after this? What's the one thing that you've heard today you're going to go, I'm going to implement that? What's the one thing? Comment below. Come on. Yeah, crowd up my food. So that, Makeda, does that mean more vegetables? Yes, I think, look, ladies, vegetables and protein are your friend. Like, you can't go wrong with it. Um, yeah, we all need protein and vegetables. Like, we can actually survive very well without carbs. Carbs aren't actually an essential nutrient. Ingrida, cut on alcohol. Makeda, more protein. Yes. Um, yeah, awesome. Okay, ladies, I'm going to enjoy my evening now because I've expended some awesome energy climbing today and helping my clients do awesome things. So I'm going to retire now. Stacey, more protein. Yes, Louise, chew my food and research omeprazole on the impacts it's taken. As it could, like, if ladies, if you can't digest food and you can't assimilate it, so you can't absorb it, then you're going to struggle. Okay, you can do all the fancy things you need. You can fast. You can do all this other sexy stuff. Ain't gonna do nothing unless we get all these basics in. Basics, basics, basics. And that's what I do in my empowered body program is I get my clients to do the basics really well. And then once the basics are embedded and they become habits, we then do funky stuff. We don't do funky stuff first. This is what holds you all back. Everyone's surfing the internet. Oh, let me do intermittent fasting, keto, blah, 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 blah. That takes you off track because most of these people out there don't actually understand physiology, biochemistry, nutrition, movement, and all that stuff. So, yeah. Ladies, so do you want me to do a part two to this? And also, if we do a part two, then I will do so if there's enough interest. So, for ladies who watch this back on the replay, because I know some of you will, happy to talk more about this kind of stuff. So, listen, ladies, just remember body, mind, you can't separate the two. You cannot separate the two. And this is where everyone goes wrong with their health. Really simple. And that's what the Empowered Body program is designed to do, is to bring together your mind and the body so you understand it as one, treat as one, and then you get awesome results. So Ingrida said part two, please. Of course, I will do so. I'll do so. All right. Ladies, Louise wants a part two as well. Cool. All right. I'll schedule it in. I'll invite people to it as I do. And I'll let you know when it's ready to rock. All right. Cool. Have an awesome evening, ladies. Get to bed early and stay off the alcohol. Talk soon. Stay strong.